The purpose of Wealth Talk is to educate, inform, and hopefully entertain you on the subject of building your wealth. WealthBuilders recommends you should always take independent financial, tax, or legal advice before making any decisions around your finances.
Welcome to episode 227 of Wealth Talk. My name's Christian Rodwell, the Membership Director for WealthBuilders, joined today by our founder, Mr. Kevin Whelan. Hello, Kevin.
Hi, Chris. Good to be with you again. Exciting week.
Yeah, it has been a great week, hasn't it? We've been launching our brand new membership and we did a webinar last night. It was fantastic. We had loads and loads of questions. People really excited to see what changes we've made for 2024. So today we thought we'd talk about this a little bit more on the podcast as well for all of our listeners.
Yeah, really important that we are pragmatic when it comes to current economic circumstances. You know, we're always in a place, if you look around, I mean, one would argue we've never been in a more vulnerable place in society, really. The economic system is falling apart. You know, we've got an election coming up. We've got wars pretty much everywhere. We've got cost of living crisis, taxes still high as ever, getting higher. The argument is some of the taxes could be going up and up and up. So, you know, to pay for so many of these threats to bolster up our defense bill, you know, so we're in uncertain times. So what we wanted to do was our best to be pragmatic and to help people really focus on easier things. And in particular, the big difference between income security and income independence from a point of view of a financial long-term outcome. So I'm sure you'll touch on that, Chris.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'll just remind listeners that last week we walked through the brand new updated Wheel of Wealth. And the Wheel of Wealth is a really great tool that can help you take action, right? It's all the important steps to turn the wheel to generate additional streams of recurring income. But as with many things in life, Kevin, you can take the information and DIY it yourself. And that's okay in some circumstances. Or you might choose to work with someone who's already walk the path that you want to walk and have that guidance. And so today we're going to expand a little bit more on how we do that on a day-to-day basis with our members.
Yeah, look, I understand that. I've just said times are difficult. People want to save money. I really do get that. We're not saying that Wealth Builders is right for everyone. It's not a sales pitch here. What I am saying is the Wheel of Wealth, if you download that and use that as a frame of reference, you can help yourself be aware of the sequential parts that you can take as you start to think about the wealth that you're planning to build. And many people have already started their wealth building journey, and we're pleased for them. However, equally, many have not. Many have stalled. Many have run out of money before they've run out of ambition. And as a result, they need some help. And I believe, actually, I've said this many times before, Chris, it's almost a standard line now I'm using because it's so embedded in my DNA, that I believe that working inside a community, working with guidance is more appropriate. It's faster, safer, more enjoyable if you do that than if you try and do everything on a DIY basis, never trusting anyone and feeling that the only path is the path you tread on your own with no shortcuts of any kind. And I've done that. I honestly have done that. That was how I built my wealth. It took me 15 years to do it. I now believe we can teach people to do it in 5 years to be independent and certainly 2 to 3 years to be financially secure. I would encourage those people who are looking for that help. You can't just copy the roadmap we have because there are too many steps in there that demand a greater level of knowledge and a greater level of involvement. But you can, if you've already got a plan, use the Wheel of Wealth to be your kind of guardian angel, particularly on the due diligence side, to keep you safe. Because, as I said, it's an unsafe world out there. Be safe.
Absolutely. We've been sharing stories for the last 3-4 years on the podcast, Kevin, of those that have followed the process. And everyone who follows the process does make it. It might take a little bit longer for some, shorter for others, but if you follow the steps, you will get there.
Yeah, as another person I respect, Dan Hill says, you know, success and failure are entirely predictable. And it's true in wealth. If you follow the steps, and that's the other big change we've decided to make, is make the steps smaller and easier to take rather than bigger and more adventurous. So getting one small step, one small action, but the right action every month will move you towards where you want to get to. And the compounding impact on that is huge. So, you know, happy that we share a little bit more about the roadmap. Don't want to go into all the details, Chris, because that's too much, I think. But if we give people an overview, an outline, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can head to the Wealth Builders website now, go to wealthbuilders.co.uk/membership. You can have a look there at the pricing options and understand how you can get involved. And simple as a monthly subscription now, Kevin, so people can, really just jump in at the level that's right for them. But the overall roadmap is important because, no matter where you are, we know how to help move you to the next financial target that you're seeking.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, Chris. And the decision that we made was to remove as many barriers as we could, because hitherto people who've involved themselves with Wealth Builders, there was always an annual upfront cost. We've removed that. We've made 3 different levels entirely accessible from, as low as £49 a month. So you can get involved and you can start to build your wealth. And what I've tried to do, it's almost like another piece of fun language I've introduced, which is that a AAA offering, isn't it? Like a AAA rating, affordable, accessible, and we've designed it to be an absolute no-brainer. We've taken all the risk away. Anything you want to do in building your wealth, you can cancel at any time. And we're just so passionate about making this accessible to people. And of course, making sure we've added the families content, the content that helps people build wealth for their families, be more focused on the up generation, the down generation in particular, how to be a great money role model for your children, which we know is, we've got hundreds of families already in that at whatever it is, £29 a month, if I remember. That's just free now. So it's included. So I don't think we can do any more. So I certainly don't want to turn this into a sales fest, Chris. We don't like cheese too much, do we? Or too much cheese in what we do. So why don't we just tell people the steps? And if there are some DIYs out there who want to copy the steps, knock yourself out. Otherwise, this is good intellectual property. And I hope you enjoy the share and think, well, wow, yeah, because it's one of the biggest things that hold people back from really building wealth is not having a plan that they can follow. They kind of get bagatelled, bing bong from one thing to the other, never really knowing what's the right thing for their unique set of circumstances. But we can spot that because, we have that as a specific step in the process. So anyway, what do you want to share, Chris?
Well, we've been talking for the last couple of years, we talk about our roadmap, and we've previously called the roadmap the recurring revenue roadmap. And that was a 9-step roadmap. And we've updated, we spent a lot of time, didn't we, looking at this, Kevin, and saying, how can this become even more all-encompassing, really bringing the family's content into it, even bringing elements of more the pensions and SSAS side. So there's one roadmap, which is really the A to B of how to move towards financial security and then on to financial independence. So we're going to talk through now the family wealth roadmap. And this is proven step-by-step process to help you achieve financial security within 2 to 3 years. So let's just start there, Kevin, and just define financial security for anyone who's not exactly sure what we mean by that.
Yeah, it's an interesting word, the word security. What we mean is there are 2 elements to this. First of all, recurring income or income flowing from the ownership of assets is the starting point. So what's the difference between the 2? And we've covered this hundreds of times before. So we know we want to own something that puts money into our life. That money continues to flow even when we're asleep. And then we can pass that money on to our family, which is the essence of all of this. You don't have to show up, but the money continues to show up. What we're looking to do is create streams of that. But what's the level of that? Because it all sounds, is this, too complicated, too difficult? Is the gap between where I want to be now to where I am now to where I want to be too big? So we try to make that simple by saying, start by getting the difference, making it clear you're aware of the difference. And then imagine what you want to do is just live a life that all your bills are paid for. Right? Don't have to measure them exactly, but approximately. And once you've measured that, and if you imagine assets were paying for all of that life, your utilities, your car, your travel, whatever, that you do in a typical year, not in an exciting year, not the best world that you'd ever want, because that's where you upgrade that thought to financial independence, which is a life without compromise. Financial security is what I've called often, Chris, the lockdown lifestyle, the lifestyle that you didn't do an awful lot, but everything was okay. So if everything is okay, what's that number? Once you've got that number, then it's how do you then create by taking small incremental steps of £100, £200 each month, that's in recurring income, to start moving the needle, moving the thermometer, whatever analogy works best for you, to get you to that point. And we think for most people who take one right action each month, not just any action like read a book, it's action, not knowledge. Once you follow that up and you take actions, you should be able to get there within 2, at the latest 3 years, to get to income security. That's the thing. So income security then means you're in a place where your bills are paid. And if you wanted to, you could spend more time to diversify and create more wheel turns. If you remember from last week, more turns of the wheel to generate that gap between then the security and independence. So the principle then is to focus your way to security and then diversify your way into building lasting wealth. And once you get there, it's a whole new ball game about legacy, about abundance, and so on. But the starting point is, can you imagine you could get to security by the end of 2026 or latest 2027? And if you're willing to get involved, then we can help you shortcut that and help you achieve that. And I think that's just a wonderful thing if you considered that. And if you're not already on that journey, if you could get there within 2 or 3 years, and then you knew that the success of getting to independence was just as predictable as that, and you knew you're going to be set for life within 4 to 5 years, wouldn't you rather do that in 4 to 5 years than trust the pension might do it in 40 years or 30 years? There's just so many risks associated with the traditional way of doing that. We want to bring that date forward for you and bring that date so you're confidently able to rely on assets giving you an income, not just for you, but income that will pass on to the next generation so it lasts way, way, way beyond you. Short question you asked, Chris, but sorry about the length of the answer, but it's important to me.
No, it was a good one. Thank you. And you used a word there, which I was just going to pick up on, which was confidence, which is a word we hear often in our members' vocabulary when they're talking about how they're feeling a year, perhaps 2 years into the journey of building their wealth, because the confidence comes, doesn't it? And that, as you say, then helps in all manner. It's almost like a ripple effect then, they're confident in building new connections. They're confident in going out and perhaps doing a deal that slightly, feels a bit scary for them. So within a year or two, we see a real transformation in the way people are.
Well, that's a good point, Chris. We've talked about language already, and transformative is definitely one of the key language points I'd make, that it's difficult to see yourself transforming because you're in a comfort zone. So you don't always see the transformation that's taking place because it's taking place within you. We see it and we note it and we see it happen all the time. And the benefit of that transformation is every time the whole point about transformation is you're going through stages. So this first stage is just to commit, right? Can I take one small action every month? Could you do that? Then commit to that. Second stage is then turning up and doing that right thing. And then as you start to follow that and see that there's the wheel of wealth comes into play, you've got the education, you've got support, you've got the community, you've got connections, you've got due diligence and so on. You're seeing that confidently just working. Then when you push against another comfort zone, which is inevitably where people get stuck, right? Nothing grows inside that. They get another comfort zone crisis, then they go, I was at that point before and I just reached out and got help, which is why you can't DIY this, because as soon as you want to grow, you can't grow enough just by doing things on your own. You need external expertise and help to be able to teach you things that you don't yet know. And it would take too long for you to master, which is why it took me 15 years, not 5. And that's why I'm, encouraging people to get involved and trust somebody slowly, though. And if you're not happy and if you trust us and it doesn't work, you can stop, can't you? And you haven't lost anything in terms of a long-term commitment. So, no, I think it's a good point you made, Chris, about the language of transformation. And we see that transformation and confidence, and we see the acceleration also as people start to do things. And it takes a while because it's planting seeds. But after a while, the whole thing flourishes. And then you've got different seeds that are maturing at different points. So you're getting kind of pop, pop, pop of different income streams coming into your life. And that's the important thing.
Now, if you're listening now and thinking, oh, this all sounds like quite a lot of stuff that I need to be doing, let's just address this, Kevin, and really explain like what actually happens. If you decide, okay, I'd like to work with Wealth Builders, then really get access to our training. And that's access that you can go anytime. So if you have half an hour in the morning, lunchtime, weekends, you go through that at your own pace. And that will walk you through, obviously, all of the steps that we're talking through here. And then the accountability, which comes from the community. So having access to our online community of other like-minded members. But also if you choose to work with a coach, then you have that accountability every month where actually you'll sit down on a Zoom call and they'll get to know you, really build the relationship there and say, okay, but how have you got on with that we talked about 30 days ago and where are you getting stuck? And knowing that you've got that coaching call coming up, Kevin, it really helps you actually just keep moving forward.
And we hear the coaches getting consistently 9.5 out of 10, when the feedback comes afterwards. And, it's really important because I know how life can derail us. And then when we get into derailment, we get into drifting again because we've lost the rails, we've lost the tracks, we've lost the roadmap. So we want to get people back on the roadmap. So talk about the roadmap, Chris. Is there any kind of visuals we're going to let people have?
Well, I can bring up the roadmap. I know a lot of people listening on the earbuds as an audio podcast, but some of you would be tuning in on video. And you can also see the video of this episode if you go to wealthbuilders.co.uk/227. I've put the roadmap on screen here. So you can see here the 9 steps in their entirety. And one of the new steps that we've created, Kevin, we launched this just before Christmas, is income maximizer at step 2, because sometimes people feel they can't get started because they simply don't have enough spare cash or don't have enough funds. So we've kind of dispelled that myth because there are loads and loads of ways that you can start to generate quick cash flow. Now, this isn't necessarily asset income, which is we're talking from the pillars, but it's ways to generate income, net income fast.
Yes, and that was a specific step we took to try and give anybody the option to say, hey, it's not that difficult, actually, to think about ways that not just we think, but other people are doing, to add another £100, £200, £300 a month, or even more to your net income, which therefore you're getting an instant adrenaline or a dopamine hit of, wow, yeah, this works. I can see I'm making money. So if you're making money, you can either invest that in education or plant some seeds in the stock market or in any other asset that's important to you, or just as importantly, take care of your roof, which is where the step of building a watertight position for you and your family is really important, because as you build wealth, it's important to protect what you've already got, and we take care of that in step 3, which is the frame, where the roof is an important ingredient of that.
Yes, one of the things we hear really often, Kevin, is from our members who say, I've been meaning to get my will done for the last 2 years, but I just haven't got round to it. And that's one of the things that we make sure you get done as quickly as possible. And again, gives you that confidence, gives you that peace of mind once you know that that's in place.
But peace of mind is one of those benefits that's often undervalued, really. I mean, when you think that, in the end, I think we've all got things that are weighing on us, like a CACHE, not cash as in money in the bank, but we've got our own level of personal cash. And when we've got lots of things undone, I think it seeps into that. We get so many things that are undone, not done, and therefore it stops us from doing some really easy things. So getting the roof done to at least the basic level, just watertight, is all we need to do. So we don't need to labor the point, but it's a really valuable benefit that we know everyone says that peace of mind just frees them to be able to then focus the rest of their time on building their wealth and protecting the family in a more positive and more financial way, because the roof's taken care of.
Absolutely. And ultimately what we're helping you do here is just get clear on what's the right plan for you, because there's lots of different ways that someone can build their wealth. And think of 2 people who are very successful, Kevin, Richard Branson and Warren Buffett, but their styles are very different, aren't they? If Warren Buffett tried to follow the crazy eccentric way of Richard Branson and doing loads of PR stunts and constantly building new businesses and doing things like that, then that path probably wouldn't work for him. And vice versa if Branson tried to do the slow and steady route of Buffett.
Well, that's true, but everyone finds their own way of decision making, learning styles, and so on, and we can identify that with the tools that we use. When you combine your decision making style with what assets you currently already have in your life, which is the part of the stock take we do on there, then it helps almost by the use of a matrix create the right solution for you, so you don't get sidetracked by anything you read, anything you listen to, anything you see. And we're going to get interrupted all the time, aren't we, with new ideas. You get to focus on the things that are much more likely to be appropriate for you right now until you then move forward. And then once you start turning wheels, you're going to do more things anyway. It's just getting started is often the real challenge.
Absolutely. And when it comes to the pillars, which really sits at the heart of our roadmap, is the 7 pillars of wealth. That's the step we call assets. And it's about identifying the right pillar for you, or the primary, secondary pillar. And then when you've decided that, to obviously get the education, and we provide that education every week. We're doing live sessions in property, investments, IP across all of those 7 pillars, Kevin. So someone, if they're not sure, can jump into a few to kind of understand them and then perhaps help them choose. But if you know that perhaps property or business is the way you want to go, then you can cherry pick and just hone in on those sessions that we provide.
And it's important that we suggest, depending on your time bandwidth, which is one of the leverage points we make as well, just looking at how much time you've got. And we're serious about if you can do one main thing, one consistent action, then if you've got one primary pillar, something you're working on as your primary modus operandi, the primary gear you're turning, if you've got time, have a second one, because that gives you a balance. It gives you an alternative way of doing something. And it also means that the cycle of the returns, the seed that you plant in one thing will be slower or faster than another. So the more that you can get consistent, as I said earlier on, the fruit coming at different time frames, because sometimes different assets you're waiting for something to happen. So you might as well be doing something else as well. So we're normally looking to suggest having 2 pillars at the same time if your bandwidth allows.
So we won't go into every step. I think we've given a good overview, Kevin, hopefully for someone who feels perhaps now is the time, we're at the start of a new year. And if you really set your sights on a clear action plan, as we said, within the next 2 years, 24 months, you could well find yourself well on your way, if not already at financial security. And how would that change your life? How would you feel? How would it impact your family and your freedom and all of those things which we know are important for our members to achieve? Okay, so if you'd like to watch the video to see the roadmap, then do head over to wealthbuilders.co.uk/227. And if you'd like to have a look at our membership offerings, go and take a look, see if there's something that feels right for you. So head to wealthbuilders.co.uk/membership to find out more details right there. All right, well, thanks for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Kevin, you and I will be back same time, same place next week.
We will indeed, my friend, and until then, see ya.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget that we are constantly updating our resources inside the Wealth Builders membership site to help you create, build, and protect your wealth. Head over to wealthbuilders.co.uk/membership right now for free access. That's wealthbuilders.co.uk/membership.